Students, let us now discuss about the various theories of earth pressure. There are two classical theories. One was given by Coulomb way back in the 18th century. It was in 1776. And Rankine's theory, it was given in 1857. Now, first we'll discuss about the Rankine's theory in more detail, and then we'll come to the Coulomb's theory. Coulomb's theory is useful for understanding the graphical problems, and it is a more practical case. In both the theories, the basic assumption is that the soil is in plastic equilibrium. What do you mean by plastic equilibrium? As I told you, the soil particles, the shear stress in the soil particles are at the verge of failure. The soil is at the verge of failure. This is the basic assumption. Now, the soil to be at the verge of failure of plastic equilibrium, sufficient deformation has to take place. Now, let us try to go into what are the assumptions. Now, we will try to discuss the Rankine's theory in more detail, and we take up various cases, practical cases, and we will try to see how we can quantify the earth pressure. The first is the assumptions in Rankine's theory. The first assumption is soil is homogeneous and isotropic. Truly speaking, soil is neither homogeneous nor isotropic, but there is an assumption to make an ideal material, elastic material. The second one is the backfill, the ground of the backfill, ground level is a plane surface, it is either horizontal or inclined. Now, if I tell you like this, you may not understand. I will write a diagram. Now, if this is the retaining wall, the backfill, either this may be horizontal like this, it's a plane surface and it is horizontal, or it may be inclined, either way. But it is a plane surface, it is not undulating like this, okay, it's not undulating. Therefore, it is a plane surface, that is the meaning. The third one is the back of the retaining wall. Back of wall is vertical and it is smooth. It is vertical and extends to a great depth. Hence, it is not a small retaining wall, it is a great, means sufficient length is there. What is the physical significance of these two assumptions, especially this assumption? The assumption that though practically you cannot expect any material to be perfectly smooth, it is not at all possible. You will have some friction. The assumption is made to simplify. Now, if I take an element here, at any depth, Z, and I take an element very far away, both these elements will be subjected to, there will be no shear stresses. That means there are no shear stresses acting. Only normal stresses are acting. Very important, stresses are acting. Now what is the significance of this? That means to say, whatever stress are acting on the surface of an element, on that element, we will have only the major principal stress or the minor principal stress. Only normal stresses are acting. Either way it may be, depending upon the case, this may get interchanged. You don't have any shear stresses. Shear stresses are zero. Tau is zero. On this, tau is zero. Therefore, when tau is equal to zero, that indicates, okay, only sigma are present. It indicates that the sigma is a principal stress. Sigma, whatever normal stress is acting, sigma or sigma n. Okay, this is a normal stress. Therefore, only normal stresses are acting and they are principal stresses. Now, the fourth assumption is that soil is in elastic equilibrium. With these assumptions, Rankine tried to. Now, Rankine's theory was developed basically for cogenless material. First, he developed only for cogenless material, and later it was extended to cohesive material. Now we will take up only cogenless material. We will take all cases of cogenless material. Then later we will see the cohesive case. Bell was the person who tried to extend it to cohesive soils, and he got the Bell's equation. We will derive the Bell's equation. Now we will go to the cases of the various cases, conditions. Okay, first one is backfill is dry. Second one, backfill is moist. Okay, it may be moist or dry, or it may be moist. Okay, this is submerged. It may be partly submerged or it may be completely submerged. We'll take up those cases. Backfill with surcharge. Surcharge load, it may be on a retaining structure. If you have got a retaining structure, on the ground you may have uniformly loaded surcharge because of the presence of a building or something of that sort. Okay, that is going to induce not only the lateral earth pressure because of the soil, you may also have a stress because of this. Therefore, we will have the lateral earth pressure PA or PP. Okay, is a combination because of the soil which is trying to thrust plus the stress because of your intensity of loading, that is the surcharge. Now, you can also have cases where backfill, back of wall is not vertical. Okay, it is inclined. Okay, and that's one. Other word, it is inclined. And the fifth one is backfill. Not backfill is inclined. It's not horizontal. The backfill, when the backfill is inclined like this, okay, we will have a case how to find out the stress. Now let us take up those cases individually and try to understand all the cases, and then later we will solve practical problems or numerical examples. Now let us take the first case when the backfill is dry or moist, and we will try to find out how to develop the intensity of stress. From that we can try to, let us say I got a retaining wall, something like this. ground surface, this is horizontal. Now if I take an element at some depth z, let us say this is, let the height of the retaining wall be, problem is this, too smooth, okay, we cannot write straight vertical lines. Okay, now this height is h. Now what is the case? Let us consider active cases. Okay, now we will consider only active cases. Active case of the, means the wall is moving away from the fill and we have got only active case. Now what will be the state of stress? Okay, now this will be the major principal stress and the horizontal stress is sigma 3, this is sigma h and this is sigma v. Now since this is cohesionless backfill, what happens to the value of C? If C is 0, cohesionless backfill for all the cases. Okay, now we will try to take the first case where backfill is dry. When it is dry, what happens? You got C is equal to 0 and at plastic equilibrium the relationship between major and minor principal stresses is given by sigma 1 is equal to sigma 3 tan square alpha plus 2c tan alpha. So this becomes 0 because you don't have cohesion. Now what is sigma 1? Sigma 1 is sigma v, which is equal to sigma 3 is sigma h into tan square alpha, or I am interested in sigma h, therefore sigma h is equal to sigma v divided by tan square alpha, which is equal to sigma v into cot square alpha. What is sigma h is equal to, what is sigma v? Sigma v is the weight of the, if we have got material with a, this is a dry material, therefore what happens, you get gamma into z into, okay, this is cot square alpha. Now sigma h, okay, I will call it as, or I will call sigma h is equal to Ta, the intensity of, or intensity of earth pressure, intensity of active earth pressure equal to, now this cot square alpha, students, what is this cot square alpha? We already discussed cot square alpha is nothing but Ka. Okay, in the previous portion we have discussed, therefore this becomes Ka gamma z. This is the intensity of earth pressure. This is small, but please note down the difference between the small letters. Pa means intensity, capital Pa is the total thrust. We will be trying to do that. Okay, now let me, I think hope all of you understood. Okay, now try to understand. We have derived from the relationship between the principal stress and failure. We are trying to rearrange the terms and we get this intensity of pressure. Now let us try to substitute the limits. When you substitute the limits, what happens? You need to find out This is the expression for the intensity of pressure. We need to find out what is the total thrust. Now let us try to draw the pressure distribution diagram. How does it look? Now let us substitute the limits. There is this portion. When z is equal to 0, what happens to this? Pa is equal to Ka gamma z. For z is 0, therefore this becomes 0. When z is equal to h, okay, therefore what happens to Pa? Ka gamma h. Therefore, we will have the variation of pressure distribution something like this. This is the variation of pressure distribution. Now we are interested in the total thrust. We need to find out what is the, now this value is K gamma h. So now I need to find out what is the total thrust. The total thrust is capital PA. This is the thrust. Now we need to also find out its location. All our efforts is to find out the intensity plus the total thrust. Now to find out the total thrust, PA is equal to area of the pressure distribution diagram. Now what is the area of the pressure distribution diagram? It is a triangle. Therefore it is equal to half into base. Base is Ka gamma h into the height h. Therefore this becomes Ka gamma h square divided by 2. This is the total thrust. This total thrust is equal to Ka gamma h square by 2. This is the total quantity of pressure that is going to be acting on the retaining wall, and we need to design for that. Now, please understand, now when we go to the submerged case, we need to understand what is going to happen to the pressure distribution. Now students, before going to that case, I need to tell you one important thing. Now in case I don't have a soil, let us say you got water. In case water is there, what happens to the pressure distribution? Pressure distribution again will be triangular. This will be gamma W into H. Now, if I take any element, I take an element here. Now what will be the, since this will be sigma 1, this will be sigma 3. Now, what will be sigma 1? Sigma 1 is sigma V, sigma 3 is sigma H. Now what will be this value? Gamma into Z, because this is the element which is taken at a height Z from the top. Now sigma H is also gamma into Z. Why? In water pressure is hydraulic pressure. Water pressure or hydraulic pressure is same in all directions. Please understand this. Whereas, therefore, I am not writing by any K. This K for water, Kw, or Ka for this thing becomes unity. Please understand this. Therefore, for water, you are not going to multiply by any coefficient. It is equal to 1 because you have the important thing is that it is same in all directions, whether it is in the horizontal direction, vertical direction, or inclined direction, or any other direction. Okay, all the directions it will have a uniform pressure. It is called hydraulic pressure. This hydraulic pressure is uniform throughout. Therefore, now let us take the second case. When I take that case, you'll understand why I am doing this. This is an important information for solving the problems. The second case, case 2, when backfill is submerged. Let us say I got a water table like this. Now what happens to the fluid distribution diagram? Without the same concept, okay, what we'll do is, we'll have pressure because of the soil, which is, now your soil is submerged, here it is, soil is submerged condition. Therefore, we need to take submerged density or gamma sub. Therefore, when I try to draw the pressure distribution diagram, it will be something like this. This is my pressure distribution diagram. This is K gamma dash. The only difference is that I am using gamma dash. And for water, okay, I will have another triangular pressure distribution diagram. This is K. K is not there because it will be gamma W into H. Understood? Because I already discussed, for hydraulic pressure, you are not going to have K. K is coming for only earth because you will not have the same horizontal and vertical pressures. It is going to be multiple of some coefficient. Now, what is the total thrust? When I want to find out the total thrust, I will have a thrust because of the this one plus the water pressure. Therefore, I need to find out what is the, I have to take the area of the pressure distribution diagram. Okay, the total thrust PA is equal to area of pressure distribution diagram. It's not a difficult thing. One can take the area of one triangle, take the area of another triangle, add it, you will get your total thrust PA. Now, in case if it is not completely submerged, it is partly submerged, then what I need to do? Let us say I got a condition like this. Part of the, now we have got a water table at this level. This is the water table. This is dry. This is submerged. What I need to do? My pressure distribution diagram will be very simple. Okay, it will be like this. For the first portion, okay, we will have this particular portion. For this, okay, this base K gamma D into H1, if this height is H1 and this height is H2. Now, since this is submerged, okay, you have this vertical same pressure, then we will have slightly deviated pressure, then we will have this one. This is K gamma D into H1, then this will be K into gamma submerged into H2 plus gamma W into H2. The total thrust will be, now we will have one, say we will call this as P1, this will be acting at the middle P2, Then we'll have one more pressure because of this P3. Now we'll have to find out what are these. Okay, now this will be acting at Y1 from the base. Always we return from the base. Okay, this is Y2 from the base and this is Y3 from the base. Now we need to find out the total thrust. To get the total thrust, okay, this is P. Now P, now we'll have to sum up this. P is equal to, the total thrust is equal to PA or P is equal to P1 plus P2 plus P3. Now to find out what is the location of this is called Y bar. I use the principle of, I use Varignon's theorem of moments, Varignon's theorem of moments, and find now P into Y bar is equal to P1 into Y1 plus P2 into Y2 plus P3 into Y3. Therefore, Y bar is equal to P1 into Y1 plus P2 into Y2 plus P3 to Y3 divided by P. Thereby I get my, not only my thrust, also I get my location. Students, will go to the next case. We have seen the case with dry fill and also submerged case. When there is a surcharge, in the previous case there is a slight discussion to be done. Now if you have a backfill on which you have surcharge, something like this. Now let us say the intensity of the surcharge is this is Q. Now this surcharge is going to create the pressure. Therefore, the pressure distribution will have a uniform. Pressure K into Q. Plus, if it is a dry condition, you will have a pressure variation like this, a triangular pressure distribution K. If it is a dry condition, let us say you have got a dry soil, K gamma D into H. Okay, this will be the height of the retaining wall. Now to find out the thrust, you need to find out what is the total thrust. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to use individual area. This is a rectangular area and this will be P1 acting at a distance of Y1, and we will have this is P2 acting at a distance of Y2. In a triangle, always we reckon the distance, the line of action from the base, and the total thrust will be somewhere here. This is the total thrust P. Okay, now to P means the thrust. If it is an active case, we call it as PA. If it is passive case, it is called PP, depending upon that. Okay, now PA is the total thrust. PA is equal to P1 plus P2, and the line of action Y bar is equal to P1 into Y1 plus P2 into Y2 divided by PA or P. Okay, this is how we want to find out. Now, in the previous case, when you had, sometimes we have layered soils. Okay, now let us try to go to a layered soil. Our case, which we have not listed there, but we'll take up, and there is a layered soil system. What do you mean by a layered soil system? You got different layers. Okay, you have placed 2 layers, something like this. You may have for night H1 soil with angle of interflection equal to phi1, and for night H2 we have phi2, where you may have different conditions. Okay, in the first case phi1 may be greater than phi2. When is that situation coming? In case you got a submerged condition, say this is submerged, what happens, this phi and this phi may be different, or you may have actually 2 different layers. Now let us take what is going to happen to this kind of soil at the interface. Now you need to understand one important thing here, that your Ka is equal to 1 minus of sin phi divided by 1 plus sin phi. Now what is going to happen to when phi increases, Ka decreases. When phi decreases, Ka increases. Therefore, now I got a condition when phi1 is greater than phi2. Therefore, what happens when phi1? Therefore, K1 will be, this will be having Ka1. This is Ka2. Now Ka1 is less than Ka2 because when, what is the physical significance? Because when phi is less, what happens? The soil is loose. Therefore, it has got a tendency to move and it create a lot of earth pressure. Therefore, I will have some pressure distribution like this. We will have a pressure distribution like this, and at the interface, what happens? Your pressure increases. Okay, at that interface, you are going to have 2 pressure distribution, 2 values. Now, this value is K1 into gamma 1 into H1, and this value at the interface, this is Ka2 into gamma 1 into H1. The height is same, all these things are same. The only variation is K1 and K2. Okay, and further what happens, we will have, this will be K2 into gamma 2 into H2. This will be K1 into gamma 1 into H1. So, see the variation. This is gamma 1 H1, this is gamma 2 H2, and we are going to use, sorry, this is Ka2. We are going to use different values of Ka at the interface. Now, in case I have a case where phi1 is less than phi2, then what happens? Your diagram slightly changes. At the interface, you got a diagram like this. This is how it looks. This is the one case, second case, when phi1 is less than. Now this value of the stress, this value of the stress corresponding to the interface will be Ka1 into gamma 1 into H1, and this value will be Ka2 gamma 1 into H1, and this is going to continue. This will be K2 K2 into gamma 1 into H1, and this will be K2 gamma 2 into H2. This is for layered subsystem. We'll go to the next case. When the backfill is inclined. When the backfill is inclined, it's a very interesting case. Actually, there's a lengthy derivation for this, but the derivation is not needed. Yes. Lack of time, we need not worry about that. But I can give you the, what happens to this kind of situation. Now your Ka value is going to be slightly different. K is equal to cos beta into 1 minus of, cos beta minus of cos square beta minus cos square phi by cos beta plus root of cos square beta minus cos square phi. Now your intensity of pressure, it will be something similar. Okay, only thing is what happens, you will have, this will be the pressure distribution. This will be inclined at an angle beta. Okay, now what will be this thrust? EA. EA is equal to K gamma H. H is the height of this thing. Okay, now let us say in case this beta is equal to 0 when it is horizontal. When beta is equal to 0, let us substitute in this expression. What happens to Ka? Cos beta becomes cos 0 into cos 0. Cos 0 is 1 into cos square 0 minus cos square phi divided by cos 0 minus plus of cos square 0 minus cos square phi. Now what is the value of cos 0? It is 1. 1 minus of, this is 1, cos 0 is 1, this is cos square phi divided by 1 plus root of 1 minus of cos square phi. 1 minus of cos square phi is equal to sin square phi. Therefore, when I remove this, okay, it becomes 1 minus of root of sin square phi by 1 plus root of sin square phi. Okay, this one is, okay, it's nothing but 1 minus of sin phi, 1 plus sin phi. See the same expression, nothing but cot square alpha, where alpha is equal to 45 degrees plus pi by 2. This is the same expression which you had already noted down. Therefore, this expression is correct. Now we'll go to the next case. In case the back is not vertical, the last case, if the back is not vertical, now how to solve such kind of problems? Backfill is inclined plus the back of wall is inclined. If it is not vertical, what happens to that such case? Now let us state that retaining wall. Okay, now this service a practice to draw a smooth and vertical wall. Now this is inclined. Now what happens here? You will have column of soil. Now we will have a weight W, and we will have a pressure distribution like this, because of assuming that it is a now we will have a pressure distribution PA. Okay, this is the intensity Ka gamma H, where H is the height of the retaining wall. This is the intensity of earth pressure, and this is capital PA, thrust. Okay, acting at a distance y bar from the base. Now, this is not PA, this is P1. Now I need to get my thrust. Sorry, this is not inclined. It shall be. Let me use a different color because I need to differentiate. This is PA. Now, please understand that P1 is Ka gamma H, okay, square by 2. That is the area of the pressure distribution diagram. And your W1 is the weight of soil column behind the retaining wall. Therefore, your thrust PA is equal to root of P1 square plus W1 square, sorry, W square on the weight. This is the way how you get your thrust. Now, finally, in case this wall is not, the backfill is not horizontal, it is having an inclination beta, then what happens? This gets changed and your thrust becomes, this is Ka gamma H. Only thing in this case, that K is equal to, you have to use this expression cos beta into cos square beta, okay, minus cos beta, okay, into under root cos square beta minus cos square phi, that expression cos beta plus root of cos square beta minus cos square phi. This is only difference. Okay, we will have to only use Ka in a different way. And what happens to PA? PA will not be horizontal, it will be inclined. And this base will be inclined to the, the base of the pressure distribution diagram will be inclined at an angle beta, and even this thrust also will be inclined. This will be P1, and your PA also will be inclined with the base. Now this PA for this case will be, PA will be the vector sum of P1 and W. In the calculation of P1, you are using this K. Okay, you are using modified expression of K and you are going to use it. Okay. Slight modification, and the inclination of the thrust is also changing, and the inclination of the pressure distribution diagram, because of your soil, is also changing at an angle. It will be inclined at an angle beta with respect to the horizontal. These are the two changes. Now we can take up some numerical examples. We take up simple numerical example. Now we take up an retaining wall. This is a simple retaining wall with vertical back. Now the height is H is equal to 6 meters. Now he has given the backfill has got H is equal to 6 meters, and the other properties which are given as phi is equal to 30, soil is corrosionless, and gamma D is equal to 18 kilonewton per meter cube. Okay, now first you have to find out alpha. Alpha is equal to 45 degrees plus pi by 2. Okay, you will get some value of 60. Then find out what is Ka. Ka is equal to cot square alpha. And once you find out this cot square alpha, you want to, for active case, this is cot square alpha. If you do this, okay, you get 1 over 3. Once you have this, okay, you will draw a pressure distribution diagram, which will be a simple triangle pressure distribution diagram. This is Ka, gamma D into H. Okay, once you get this value, this is the value of Pa, the thrust, total thrust, this is capital Pa, this is Y bar. Okay, you can find out what is Pa, which is equal to Ka gamma D into H. You will get this value. Then you can find out what is Pa. It is half into this quantity into H. Find out that value. Find out what is the value of Y bar. Y bar will be H by 3. This will be 6 by 3 equal to 2 meters from the base. From the base of retaining wall. This is the way how we can solve these problems, and we'll take up some more complicated problems. We have got different layers and different type of conditions. We'll work on the numerical assignments. Students will go to the next problem with a condition that the backfill is corrosionless with a phi value of 30 degrees. It is 6 meters. It is dry, and the unit weight is same. Okay, unit weight is unit weight is the same unit weight. Okay, now it's a dry condition. In the previous problem we had gamma D is equal to 18 kilonewton per meter cube. Now we have got a intensity of stress, uniformly distributed load of 60 kilonewton per meter run. Okay, now if you divide, if you take 1 meter perpendicular to the board, then it becomes kilonewton per meter square. Now what will be the variation of the pressure distribution? Okay, as I already told you, we will have a uniform pressure distribution for the surcharge which is present. This is K into Q, plus we will have a triangle pressure distribution diagram for this soil. This will be K gamma D into H. Okay, now we will have at 1/3 of the base. Okay, this is P1. This is, let us call it as P2. For the surcharge, let us call it as P1. And for the combined this thing, let us use PARP. Okay. Now let us represent this as Y bar, and this is Y2 from the base, and the first one, this is acting at Y1 from the base. Now what is the soil property? The soil is same. Okay, K is equal to 1/3, the same phi is equal to 30 degrees. Then you will have to find out what is KQ. K into Q is equal to 1/3 into Q is 60, becomes 20 kilonewton per meter square. Then K into gamma D into Q is 103 into gamma D is 18 into Q is into H. H is 6 meters. 8 into the this is 312 8 into the 36 kilonewton per meter square. Now we need to find out what is the total thrust P1. P1 is equal to, it is the area of the rectangle, that is KAQ into H. What is this value? The value is 19.8. We can find out K is this is 20 into 3 into 6 is 120 kilonewton per meter. Then this is half into base is Ka D into H into H. Okay. This value is 36 into H is 6 meters. Therefore, 6 is 18, 3 is 9, plus 1, 10, 108 kilonewton per meter. Now, this is acting at Y1. Y1 is equal to how much? Y1 is 6 by 2 equal to 3 meters from base. This is acting at Y2, which is equal to one third of H is equal to 1/3 of 2 meters from the base. Now what is the total thrust? PA is equal to P1 plus P2. P1 is 120 plus 108. This becomes 228 kilonewton per meter. This is acting at Y bar. Now what is Y bar? Y bar is equal to PA1 into Y1 plus P2 into Y2 by PA. One can substitute and find out what is this is so many meters from the base. This is a simple calculation. One can get this. Now we'll go to the next type of problem in which you have such charge, you have water table, then you got partly submerged condition. Let us try to take such kind of problems which will give you an insight into. Let us say this is 8 meters. Now first 3 meters is dry and you have got a water table, and this is 20 kilonewton per meter square. Okay, then the phi value of the first layer is 30. It is dry. Okay, this H1 is 3 meters. This H2 is 5 meters. This is having a water table. Gamma saturated is equal to 20 kilonewton per meter cube. Then how to proceed with this kind of problems? Now we will have, students will have, please follow these guidelines. This is for the uniform surcharge. Then for the dry soil, for the first layer you will have, this dry thing. This will be K1, because the phi value is not different from in a dry condition or a saturated condition. Therefore, Ka remains same. Ka into gamma d into H1. This continues. Then we will have a slightly less slope. Okay, this is because of the submerged condition. Okay, this is KAQ. This is Ka gamma d into H1. Then this base is Ka gamma dash into H2. Then we will have the pressure distribution for your water. This is, you will not have K, you will have gamma W into H2. This is the pressure distribution. Now we need to, now this will be at the middle, this will be P1. Then let us call this as P2. Then for this triangle P3, one can find out the individual values. Okay, it's a simple case. Once you draw the pressure distribution diagram, the case is very simple. There's only simple calculation. We have to find out what is Ka first one, it is 1 over 3. Then you find out what is Kaq, what is the value. Then Ka gamma d into H1, what is that value? Find out the value. Once you find out these three, then Ka into gamma dash into H2, what is that value? Ka. For water table, you don't have K, you have gamma W into H2. This is below the water table and above the water table. If you can find out these quantities and substitute, you can find out what is P1, which is the area of the rectangle. Then P2, area of small rectangle, small triangle, sorry. Then P3 is area of big triangle. This one, this area. Then finally your thrust, that PA. To get your PA, you add P1 plus P2 plus P3. Now if you want, because it's active case, you can also write PA1, PA2, PA3. So it's all your notation. There is nothing to worry about why I should follow this thing. It's all your, whatever you write, you need to define it properly and accordingly you have to use it. You can find out what is the position. Okay, the P1 is acting at what is Y1, what is Y2, what is Y3. Then finally find out what is this value of Y bar. Okay, Y bar, you can find out. All you have to write recurrent from the base of the retaining wall. Okay, in my solution, I got PA as 323.25 kilonewton and Y bar is 2.59 meters from the base. One can solve these problems. Now let us take a interesting problem where you have a layered system, because this is going to solve your all the cases. Let us take a layered system. You got a layered system. This is say 5 meters. Okay, equally spaced. Two layers are equally spaced. The H is 10 meters. H is equal to, H1 is equal to 5 meters. H2 is equal to 5 meters. Now this is this is layer 1, this is layer 2. Now the values of layer 1, you got C1 dash is equal to 0, means it's collisionless. Phi 1 dash is equal to 30, and gamma 1 equal to 18 kilonewton per meter cube. Then layer 2, we have C2 dash is equal to 0, means there is no cohesion. The phi 2 value is equal to. Now here what is happening? Phi 2 is greater than phi 1. Therefore what happens? Where Ka2 is less than Ka1. Right? When phi is more, K will be less. Then gamma 2 is equal to 20 kilonewton per meter cube. Now for this condition, what happens? You will have to draw the pressure distribution diagram. If you understand this, then we will have a variation in your pressure distribution diagram at this. Okay, it is going to reduce because your K value 2 is less, therefore your value will be at the interface lesser than the pressure is less here, it is more here. Okay. Actually this was right. Okay, now this is the K2 into gamma 1 into H1. This is K2 into gamma 2 into H2. So it's the only difference. Okay. Now only value variation is this K2 are different at this interface, and this is K1 into gamma 1 into H1. Now see the variation. Now this K2 and K1 are the two variations, but these two are same. Okay. Therefore you are going to have a different pressure, and this is how you are going to get. Now to find out the total thrust, you can divide into, this is one triangle P1, you can call it as, this is, you can call it as P2, and you can call this as P3. Then you can find out the total thrust as P, PA. This is how we can solve the problems.